In response to the new U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's threatening policy speech, the Iranian president said independent countries of the world will no longer blindly follow America's decisions. Hassan Rouhani also tried to rally Iran's supporters and allies, saying it was time to help each other counterbalance a U.S. government that is returning to the days of President George W. Bush.
Who are you to decide about Iran? Who are you to decide about the world? Pompeo has returned to making strange statements. He says you should have light water and not heavy water. You shouldn't have enrichment and you should have other stuff. Come on, that was the past. It's over now.
Rouhani also took a swing at Pompeo's career in the CIA, saying modern-day international diplomacy is no place for a former spy.
A guy who's been active in an espionage center in the U.S. and has now become the Secretary of State makes strange remarks. He wants us to make a decision for Iran and says Iran should do this or do that. This is funny and ridiculous.
The 12 demands in Mike Pompeo's speech read more like points of surrender than a way to restart diplomatic talks. Iranians are worried this could be an effort to lay groundwork for war, similar to false allegations of weapons of mass destruction made against Iraq before the U.S. invasion in 2003.
One of the issues that the Americans want to make is that they want to make even a military threat believable for Iran.
And while it may be too early to make predictions about direct conflict between the United States and Iran, the government in Tehran is concerned at attempts to create instability inside the country.
This Pompeo is yet that hardline, radical, and anti-Iran Pompeo, which believes in regime change.
There are some in Washington who have made no secret of their desire to overthrow Iran's theocratic system of government. And while a war with the United States seems unimaginable to Iranians, many say they are already living through an economic war. Much of Pompeo's speech was spent trying to convince the Iranian people of how bad their government is, but assuming that speech-making and economic pressure from Washington will create meaningful instability for the government in Tehran may be a fundamental misunderstanding of the ground reality. Iranians have been at the sharp end of American sanctions before, and faced with foreign influence, the majority of Iranians living in Iran are likely to rally in support of their own government, as flawed as it may be. Zein, Basravi, Al Jazeera, Tehran.